So we've reached an endgame situation with 5 squads remaining, and I believe this is 9 or less people, and so a lot of partial squads, right? It's either 10 or less or 9 or less, can't remember which, but a lot of partial squads, which means like honestly like that I've got like a pretty decent shot at winning this, provided like I play my rotations intelligently and like force all the other squads to fight first. Looking at the circle, this is like that new circle, right, that closes constantly like once it ticks down. It's about to tick down here. I'm on the slightly faster side of the ring. There's not really like a clearly faster or slower side of the ring here. Like I guess like this side, like up in the north, is going to be the faster part, but like it's like not by like a whole lot, if that makes sense. Which means that like players that are on this side of the ring, let's just actually draw it, like that are on like this side of the ring, like out in here, like they're gonna have to like move more than players that are like on this side. So if you're like over here on this southwestern corner, like there's probably going to be more activity because more players are going to be forced to make sloppier rotations just because they have to make them faster and with less time to make the decision. And so like one of the big things here is that I've just got very limited information, right? Like I'm literally forced to rat like in a way that like places the cover in front of my face between me and the enemies, which is extremely inconvenient and very unfortunate here. So it's like honestly, like I don't know, like I don't know, like there are errors, but they're not super obvious, right? But there are like alternative courses of action that probably would have like been a little bit more efficient. But it's like a lot of these things are like probably there's a lot less certainty here. So there's enemy here, right? I think this peak is fine. Like I'm just like running out to try and like see it, like if I can get a look at this fighting here. As soon as I notice these guys, right, like I turn around and go back in and step back into the cover and like play my cover slow, hoping that like these guys get forced off sooner rather than later, or they get like antsy and like leave their cover. Don't really know if these guys are on the same team or not. It doesn't really matter if they're on the same team or not, especially this guy up here. This person is like totally in the driver's seat, right? If they get to like sit like right here and just like, it's just like a shooting gallery for them as the circle closes in, like they'll be one of the last people that has to leave. So they'll be one of the hardest people to deal with. And then there's 2 squads that are exchanging fire over here. So this is either 1 or 2 squads, and then this is 2 squads, right? And so I think actually right now, just right now, looking at things objectively, I think that spot that I just placed a crossover, like in that cover there, will be like one of the best spots I can get into. It gets me really close to where the center of the circle is, right? Like, which is like probably like somewhere like right here specifically. So it gets me really close to where the center of the circle is. And also like these people won't have a line of sight on me, nor will the people on my left. And I'll be able to hear people climbing on the left. So I think like that specific spot I should have played next. So I'll step back into cover here just in case like enemies like decide to come over the wall early, right? Because they're fighting or whatever. Waiting for the circle to close and then making the transition over to the green piece of cover. What I do instead is I see shots here. This person's clearly not paying attention to me, right? And so I don't know if this is the last person on their squad or what, but by shooting this person, right, if I can knock them and they're not the last person on their squad, that's pretty much a death sentence for this player, right? If they're the last person on their squad, obviously they're dead. And it also like really deters this squad from like trying to push me, which is a huge concern for me, right? Like if they find out that I'm a solo and they're multiple people, then like I don't want them to push me. So it would have been great if I had like been lethal with these shots. They're kind of tough. The target, like she's already halfway into the cover here. It's not ideal. Dip quickly back into cover. We see a Gibraltar ult come down on the left-hand side. So now, right, like the green piece of cover is no longer valid for us. That's like over here. That's like not like a piece of cover we can use. And so what we'll probably have to do is go up and over the fence or to push these guys on the right-hand side. I also wonder if there's something I could have done. I could have attempted an abduction with the portal. I don't really know if that was like the play. It seems like kind of risky to me. But these guys over here on the right side are going to be really difficult to dislodge because I don't have a whole lot of cover, and this Gibraltar, like I'm trapped between the Gibraltar ult and the circle. So this like it's not super viable to go on the right-hand side people. So I think honestly, the best thing I can do is just like go up and over to the left here, which is what I do. right here, C2 squad's fighting, and like managed to like find a spot like where I can hide from the Gibraltar ult. And then I think I just stay here, honestly. Like, I leave, like, because I'll see in a second here. But yeah, just looking at things, like I think like this is like a solid spot. I hate getting like Bloodhound scanned. I hate having people know where I am. So it's like right here, right? Because I see, so these guys and the people that were over here on my right that I noticed are exchanging fire like laterally, like this in front of me, right? And so my thought, right, is, well, okay, so then I just hop in over here and I backside them, right? Backside these guys, and like that's just totally gonna screw them over, right? And like, you know, low risk way to start like just removing people from the equation, right? Which I think is like ultimately like what needs to start happening here. But I think, honestly, I don't like sitting still. Like, I don't like staying in one spot being a known quantity, right? But I think right here, there's a spot, like, right inside here on the right, which is, I think that was our spot. That's where we should have gone. Very close to the center of the ring. Hard to see. Probably not very well known. Would require probably some degree of map knowledge or having been able to look at the spot for a couple of seconds. And like, you know, again, like with the fighting, like going like left to right here, I still don't know where the fourth is. I think this guy is like the last squad. Like I think these two people are not on the same squad. So if that's the case, and these guys are over here, and I think these two are together, otherwise they would have killed each other by now. I think if I had been over here on the right hand side, I would have been set up pretty well to win this. These guys would have been forced to run across my field of vision. I would have been able to continue to like kind of crawl along like this little like rock and ridge here and get like closer and closer, like still having some like decent amount of cover as I approached. I think that was the play. Like this nade that I'm about to throw here is like a solid, like that's like a solid nade, right? Because again, there's like nowhere else really for them to go. And so like this nade is like gonna hit that character really hard for like 100 damage. Like it's a full damage grenade because they just have nowhere else they can go. I canceled my void walk here as I attempt to climb. Right here, I think I should have done a cell. This battery is like very committal. Like I'm doing like a 5-second battery in front of enemies that were just shooting at me. And I wind up getting shot for it, right? Cell, like especially because I have like the gold shields here, like I think would have been a little safer. Not really sure. And I don't get to get off the bat and I die. So, and then I hear fighting far off to the right here. So somewhere out in here. So somewhere out in here were the two remaining squads, and this person came over and eliminated me. So, and just looking at it, it's like definitely like that spot back on the right here, like was still in bounds, and I would have been able to creep up here. So I think that definitely like was the play. And I think this lifeline was getting ready to commit across the open ground. So yeah. That's that. You know, there's not a whole lot of like clear error points or anything like that. It's just like a lot of alternative options and small optimizations. But again, you know, an endgame circle like this, resources, space, cover, everything is tight, right? There's very little of everything to go around for all the teams. And so, you know, every single little optimization counts. And I think, you know, you can see here how like, you know, wound up being like a 5th place or 4th place finish instead of what could have potentially been a 1st place finish. Kind of a shame. And which is the sort of games that I prefer to review. Okay, well, that finishes the analysis segment for today, and